Voices serves as the megaphone for individuals who have endured transformational change. By highlighting trials and triumphs, our desire is to create a safe space for pivotal conversations, which in turn will deepen the story and provoke hope for you, our listeners. As you may know, change is never easy, but it is inevitable. You are not alone in what you're facing. Your transformation is possible, purposeful, and now. And here's Aaron Wiggum, founder and managing director of New You, with this week's guest.
Hello and welcome to another edition of New Voices. My name is Aaron Wiggum. I'm your host. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. I'm also the founder and managing director of New You. New You is a human development company, and what we do is help folks to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. But here on New Voices serves as a megaphone for individuals who have endured transformational and pivotal experiences, and they are here to tell their story. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us today. This woman is dynamic. She is colorful. She is personable. And she really is a force here in Middle America, we'll say, as she's a serial entrepreneur, has multiple companies. We'll get into that in a minute. But what I love to know about her is that she is a very devout woman, that she leads with her heart, and that you feel her passion in every email, every phone call, every bit of communication. She just oozes all the things that are good. And so we have a wonderful guest with us today, none other than founder, mother, wife, managing director, all these things, the wonderful Abi Bermudez. Welcome, Abi.
Thank you so much. What an introduction.
How about that?
My God, I loved it.
Hey.
Thank you.
And
Almost made me cry.
Right. I also forgot she's also my Boricua sister.
That's
here.
right.
You know,
That's right.
I go to the island quite often, to Puerto Rico, and so when I found out she's from the Northeast and she's Puerto Rican, and she just oozes all the island with her. So we love that too.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's jump in. We're gonna get right into it.
All right.
My question to you is going to start with, what is the Abi Bermudez story? And you can start from wherever you like.
All right. So Abi Bermudez, I was born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. My mom raised 9 of her siblings with me. So my mom is 1 out of 14, and I grew up with 9 of her siblings.
Wow.
My dad was an amazing man, but he had a horrible addiction. My father was a heroin addict. So he lived most of his life in and out of jail, in and out of rehabs. He passed away when I was 9 years old. I say that because I think it's really important, because when people see me, they just see like the happy in me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it comes from a lot of pain.
Yeah.
You know, I went through a lot of things as a child that even though, it was hardship and it was a lot of pain, but it made me who I am today. I'm extremely resilient. I'm mentally strong because of all the things that I went through as a child. It built me, you know? I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, Puerto Rican, first generation college graduate, been married for 22 years with my honey, Alex. And I have 2 kids. I have my son, Xavier. He is the light of my life. And my daughter is my other light, Arielis, and she's 16. 2 amazing kids. I've been extremely blessed. I have never really had any major issues with my kids. They are literally sometimes I look at them and I'm like, how are you guys my kids? Because they're so nice. I mean, I'm nice, but they're like extremely nice and extremely polite. And they have so much they just give so much grace to people. And I'm like, oh, at their age, I was not like that. Right. Now I'm like that, right? But at their age, I wasn't. So it's just beautiful to see. So that's who I am. I'm constantly growing, evolving. I feel like that's part of life. I don't ever want to feel stuck. So I do have multiple companies. That is part of who I am, because I find the good in different things. And if something kind of pinches me, I get deeper into it. I educate myself and I see if I could become a problem solver of whatever that thing is, and then go from there.
Nice.
So that's who I am.
I love it. So let's go back to Providence.
Okay.
Providence, of course, has a large Hispanic population.
Yes.
And so I'm sure you got to see some representation.
A lot.
And but my question is more so around, your family unit. You have all these uncles and aunties around you, okay? But you didn't mention any siblings. So you're kind of like were your brothers and sisters?
They were. And I have a younger brother.
Okay.
He's 7 years younger than me.
I see.
So he came in the second marriage.
Okay.
So for a lot of like my early young life, it was just me, my mom, my aunts and uncles, and my dad, right? And then when my dad kind of like left the picture for good, then it was my stepdad, and then it was, then my mom had my brother. But we're 7 years apart.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's like a fresh start. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Yeah. And so what do you hold dear about that time, that your developmental years? Like what thoughts come to mind when you think about that time?
Yeah. So if I'm going to be extremely honest, and I know this sounds a little bit sad, but I went through a lot of like during that time, the things that stand out the most are also like the hardest things that I went through. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Yep. So like we were a big group of people, and my mom, she couldn't provide for all of us. So I was a government kid per se. Okay. My mom had housing. We lived in Chad Brown Projects. That's, that was our housing. I had braces because of the government. I had free braces. So, my mom, she was on all the stuff that was for free, right? But then with so many people at home, the food wouldn't always last the whole month. Sometimes it'd be half month and food, was gone. So then we found all the free places that they would give away free food. Like we would go with all of our social security cards to get our free boxes of groceries for the week. Yeah. As a kid, I knew where all the free food places were. Like in the summer programs, they had free breakfast, free lunch. I depended on that to live, to survive. I knew where they were. I would show up early so that I could get my meal, and then I would go back home, So, that's a big part of me growing up. It was really just surviving. I remember in 8th grade that they asked for your yearbook, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a secretary, because that was like the biggest I could think of. That was like, I couldn't think of anything bigger. I thought that was like amazing, because, going to visit my dad in jail, I didn't want to be a police officer. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to touch people. Those are the things that you see when you're in that environment. It's police officers, fire trucks, EMSA, and cops. I didn't want to be any of that. Right? So I'm like, I want to dress nice, so I'll be a secretary.
I like the way they look.
Yeah, okay. I like the way they look. Okay. And so that was my thing. I wanted to be a secretary, and that was as big as I could think of, being a secretary. So, I feel like that I didn't really dream big per se. It was really much a state of survival. Like when you grow up in the projects, one of the things that I did love was community. Yeah. All my friends look different. I had Black friends, white friends, Dominican friends, Haitian friends, like everywhere. You know what I mean? So my friends, Cambodian, we all look different. And we used to go to each other's houses. Because we was all like, that's the thing. When you grow up like that, you don't even realize that you're poor or anything like that.
You're just living. It's
everybody else is the same way, So you just you see your friends getting free food too with their moms and stuff, So it was just normal. But one thing that I did love was community. Like we would sit in each other's like steps outside of the homes and eat. Like we would all get little plates from the moms, whatever it was. So one day I might eat fried chicken and mashed potato or whatever. And the next day I might be eating Cambodian food, So it was like every day that was like fun for me, And I'm 40 years old. So back in my day, we used to play outside, And so I lived right in front of the basketball court.
Okay.
So if
you saw all the action. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So if you live in front of the basketball court, that's where all the action happened. Absolutely. So literally I didn't have to watch TV. I would just look out the window and somebody got into a fight. Somebody's getting jumped, And it would just be like, that was so normal, Like I remember, and not to sound crazy, because anybody can fact check me. Go check out Chad Brown Project, so you'll find out for yourself.
Okay.
But we would hear gunshots all the time. Yeah. And there was a point that we didn't even run. We would just get down. And if there was a car, we would go underneath the car, because if the bullet goes up, it has to come down somewhere, right? So we would just go underneath the car, wait until the gunshot stopped for a little bit, and then we would come back out and then keep playing. Like nothing happened. Again. Yeah. And it was so normal. Like that was life. Yeah. And our parents, like, they were also so normal to it. Like, gunshots happen. Nobody's checking to see if the kids is all right. They're like, oh, okay, they're playing somewhere. They'll come back later. I mean, that was so normal. You know, now for me, I raised my kids completely. I mean, I live in Oklahoma.
Right, it's different here.
It's a complete, and even then, I don't even let my daughter go down the corner to the store by herself or to go. No, we're taking you, you know, like, I'm super overprotective with them. But it comes from, you know, having that environment, you know? Yeah. And so, that's pretty much.
So I love what you're saying here, because what I've deduced from what you're saying is that, you know, you leverage the resources that were available to you.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly who I know you to be today.
Yes.
You are that resource for other people. And people can come to you and find this out, that, and the third. Yep. And you could do it in Spanish or English, or you could, like, you've become that serving or that servant to the broad swath of people that you actually got to develop with as a child. And I love to be able to see that come full circle 30 years later, right? From the porch stoop to now in board meetings and at, you know, corporate meetings or whatever. You're able to leverage resources of entities to get to the people who need it the most.
Exactly.
You've become the agent or the advocate for who little Abby was.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, kudos to you.
Thank you.
You know, kudos to you for that. I love that. And so when you got so far, we'll fast forward through the high school years or whatever. But what I want to really get into is, as you begin to develop as, when did you feel like you found your voice?
Oh, man. So if I am being honest, I found my voice early in life.
Okay.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
When you grow up in the projects like I did in that. So there's two things, right? Like, growing up, you're either going to get bullied or you're going to be the bully, or you're going to be like the person that nobody just messes with. Right. Yeah. And so I've always been little. I've always been a little bee, right? But I've always had a big mouth. Okay. So I would scream, and people would get scared, you know, because I'd be like, you know, and I would always be the first to hit, because I knew that if somebody hit me first,
well, that's the rule in the hood.
If they hit you first, you might not get up, you know. So I was always the first to hit, and I feel like that, just having that strong sense of self at a young age, literally helped me survive. You know, because a lot of people wouldn't mess with me, not because they were scared of me, but they just didn't want the repercussions of me opening my big mouth. You know, because if you mess with me, trust me, everybody was gonna know that you was messing with me. You know what I mean? Like,
and you got 15 aunties at the house, and
my uncles were crazy. You know, my uncle, everybody in the hood knew my uncles. Like, they were crazy. So it was, but I've always had. I found my voice early in life. I felt like that was. I mean, you either have the body or you have to have the voice. I had to have the voice in order for me to survive. You know. And so, I found it early in life. Okay. Just as a way of survival.
Okay. And then when did you figure out how to use it?
Later in
or
life.
Use it for good. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah. And so what did that look like when you started to say, okay, wait a minute, my voice matters. My opinion, my perspective, my contribution, it actually matters. How do I use that for good or for positive, we'll say?
So I feel like I started realizing that I had a voice, like, for good, when people started trying to oppress my voice.
There you go. Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when I would have my opinions, like when I was already working in corporate, I would have my opinions and I would say, oh, I think we should do this. And they would immediately shut down. But then the person that immediately shut down, a week later, they have a similar idea.
Right. Yeah.
And now
I just said that a week ago.
Right. Yeah. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But then you start realizing, like, okay, maybe I'm not so dumb as maybe I have something here, you know? So then I feel like that maybe my voice trying to get oppressed was what made me realize I had a voice.
Exactly.
And I remember, if I can do a shout out.
Sure.
Rena Cook. Okay. She is over Vocal Authority.
Okay. So shout out to Rena.
Shout out to Rena.
Yeah.
I remember at the time I was still working in corporate and I was thinking about transitioning. to full-time entrepreneurship because I was at the time part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had told her like some of the situations that I was having. And I was like, maybe I need to go to like a voice class to change my accent so that I could sound better, blah, blah, blah. And we had lunch. We were having a lunch. And she said, Abby, there is nothing about your voice that you need to change.
Yeah.
She said, you have already everything in your voice to make the changes that you want to make in this world.
Yeah.
All you have to do is apply them, you know, and don't let anybody silence your voice. And having somebody as Rena Cook tell me that, I think that gave me a little bit of more validation, you know, because this woman, I mean, this is what she does for a living and she has books. She's an author. She's a TEDx speaker. And here she is telling me that I have something. It was like her validation. And because it was so genuine, like I felt like there was nothing that she was getting from that. I wasn't paying her for that, right? She was just telling me what she felt I needed to hear at that time.
Yeah.
And she's become a good friend of mine, almost a mentor, I say, because there's been times that I've talked to her and she's just, if you meet Rena Cook, she is just a force to be reckoned with, you know, and I just absolutely love her. So I think that having people sometimes just remind you of who you are and remind you that, hey, it's okay. You're good. Don't change your voice. That's what they want you to believe, you know, but you already have what it takes. Having somebody else say that I think that's what gave me my.
Yeah. That push in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, it happens so often where you only know what you know.
That part.
And because of what you don't know, it makes you pause on what you can do with it. Right? But when you have somebody who gives you permission or license or who just kind of gives you perspective, sometimes all you need is some perspective on it. It can really help you to not become limiting of yourself.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing from what you're saying is that, you know, Rena was able to really give you license to be all of who you are. Yeah. What I find so often is I always say that the strongest force on earth is authenticity. And my example of that is when you have a singer who's on stage, they could have 20,000 people in the audience. And when they are singing about something that they have endured, right? What emotes, what emits from them, I should say, it fills the room. Every heart, people are crying, people right when they're singing from their own conviction, when that authenticity cuts, right? When you're singing from just talent, it may hit, it may not hit, right? But when it's authentic and you went through that heartbreak or you went through that celebration or you went through that conviction, there's a connective tissue between you and the people who are listening, right?
Yes.
And so what I'm saying to you is that, you know, your authentic voice, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be only this way, right? Like the way you say it, it needs to be heard that way.
Yes.
Right. I was writing a book and it's I'm about to release it soon. You'll hear more about it in a minute. But as I was doing the book, I started to do the same thing where I'm like, it doesn't sound like this and it doesn't. And I had to, whoa. It sounds like you.
That part. Yeah.
It sounds like you. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Look, whoever it's meant to be for needs to hear your voice your way.
Yes.
Right. And if it's not their cup of tea, that's fine with me too. It wasn't meant to be for everybody. There's 8 billion people on earth and not all 8 billion are going to read your book. And you're not speaking to all 8 billion people. Nope. You're speaking to the people that it's meant for. And the one who's the people it's meant for need to hear your voice, right? So I'm so glad that she kind of did that because there are so many people that you're advocating for. And if you didn't have that conviction to lend your voice, look at the people who would not get what they get in life because they don't have an Abby out there saying, no, we're going to do it this way because, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
And
I think also because I am authentic, like I've learned to be authentically me.
Yes.
Like for real. I speak the same way no matter who I talk to. I could be talking to the president of the United States or to the janitor. It don't matter.
Right.
I am who I am, and I carry myself with that, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I accept it as well, that not everybody's going to like me. I
Yeah.
am a lot for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too.
Right.
Because I'm perfect for the right people.
There you go.
You get what I'm saying? So I've accepted that as well. But that comes, I think, also with just having more confidence in yourself.
Mm-hmm. And maturing.
Yeah, maturing.
Yeah,
Like accepting, hey, I'm not for everybody. But, I think a lot of women struggle with that in the sense like, oh, this lady doesn't like me, that lady. And we often think of like all the people that don't like us for
Mhm.
whatever reason,
Mhm.
but we don't focus on the people that do love us.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like, and I say women because I'm a woman
Mm-hmm.
and, but I think a lot of women struggle with wanting to be somebody else.
Mm.
Not so much because maybe they feel embarrassed of their past, or
Yeah.
maybe they feel me saying, oh, my father is a heroin addict. I would have never said that before.
Yeah.
I would have protected that with everything in me. As a
Right.
kid, I protected that
Right.
because I knew what would happen with some of my friends, that their moms were crackheads
Mhm.
or their dads was on drugs, and
Right.
how they would treat them,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I protected that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go around being like, oh, my dad's in jail because this or whatever. No, I protected that as a kid.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of people carry their past and they still protect it now as
Mhm.
adults because
Yeah.
they don't want to be judged from their past. But
Right.
you know what? I carry that. That's what made me who I am today. I would not be Abi Bermudez,
Mhm.
the woman that you see here today, if I did not go through all those things as a child,
Mhm.
all the things that I went through as a young adult.
Mhm.
I wouldn't. And I would not have the mental strength that I have today
Exactly.
to be so confident in myself that I can't stand in a room with 20 people that may not like me. And I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
Because I know that I go to the next room and there's 60 people that do.
There you go.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I focus and I change the way that I focus on things. I go, nobody really, like I hear often, I don't like networking because I go into the room and everybody just looks at you up and down and I get awkward. And I'm like, who cares? You go into the room, like God sent you in that room.
Yes.
And you talk to as many people as you can, and you get those business cards and you follow up.
Right.
And that's how I got where I'm at.
Yeah.
And am I where I'm supposed to be? Not yet. I'm still working on it, but I'm so far from where I started, you know? Why? Because I did go into all those rooms that I felt very uncomfortable in, and I still did the work.
Right.
I showed up, I asked for the business cards, and then I followed up.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that, oh, I went to a networking event. Now, but
It's
I don't.
supposed to just happen.
It's supposed to just happen.
Yeah.
Bro, no, that's just first step.
Right.
First step is getting in the room.
Mhm.
Second step is working what you got in that room.
Exactly.
Ask people out for virtual coffees. Like I remember there was times that I would literally just book 2 days in my calendar, all virtual coffees. It's so much easier than having to meet all these people in person, but still there's some type of person that, there's something there.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, I hear this like, oh, I don't like to do virtual. I prefer to do in person. Yeah, but if you're trying to meet 20 people in 1 week,
right,
you're
it's
trying to do
easier
the most with your time.
Right.
Do back to back for 2 days of the week. Virtual visits, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, get to know the person. And a lot of people is like, well, what can I get out of that? No, that's not the way you're going to approach it.
Yeah.
What are you going to give back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that is the way you get into the door.
That's right.
You're not going to go sit with somebody and be like, what you going to give me?
Right.
Nah, you're going to sit with that person and you're going to be like, listen, I can offer you this and this and this. I would love to work with you. That's how you get in the doors.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, you plant before you pluck.
Yes.
Okay. Plant before you pluck. Don't take from a garden that you won't sow into.
Yes.
And, when people are going around and they're just asking for something for them, but they're not saying, how can I be supportive, or how can I contribute, or how can I help, or, is there something I can do for you? Like any of those things are amenable. Right. But for you to only be thinking about what you want, and if it's beneficial for you, and if it's not beneficial for you, then we don't have a reason to talk. Like, that's too transactional.
Yes.
And eventually what'll happen is you may get what you want in the end, and that's fine, but it won't have the same stickiness.
Yes.
Right. You'll always have to perform when there's not relationship. Yeah. When there's relationship, we can have waves of high production, waves of low production, and we still have relationship. Yeah. But when it's transactional, it's like if it's not producing, it's not serving me, and I don't want nothing to do with
That
you,
part.
right?
Mhm.
And so that's so good what you're saying. You got to plant before you pluck.
Yes.
Don't take from a garden that you won't sow into.
That part.
That's-
And I want to say something else. I know that this is a little bit like changing lanes
It's
a little
okay.
bit about entrepreneurship
Yep.
because we're talking about networking.
Mhm.
There's this saying that the first year of entrepreneurship will make or break you, like your business.
Right.
You know, you'll make it in business or break your business. And I literally was having this conversation with my husband. I don't think it makes or breaks your business. I
Mhm.
think it makes or breaks you.
Okay. Tell us more.
Because your mindset.
Okay.
A lot of people, when your first year of entrepreneurship is one of your hardest because you're literally negotiating your pay every day.
Mhm.
And how are you doing that? How are you showing up every day?
Right.
Every day. Like I remember my first year of entrepreneur, and I speak this often because my first year of full-time entrepreneurship was extremely hard for me. I went from making good money. I had a senior position in an oil and gas industry. I was there for 6 years. I had 4 promotions. I was doing great. But something inside of me said, this is not where you're supposed to be forever. And
was that in Rhode Island or was that
here?
here? That was here. Okay.
This is my last job.
Okay.
Here.
Wow. Okay.
It was in oil and gas. I was doing great. There was and I'm still super cool with a lot of the people I worked with my supervisor, my ex-supervisor, still super cool with her. But even she was just like, Abby, we're working towards your next promotion. What are you doing? And I said, no, I had to leave before that next promotion.
What was the impetus though? What was that driving? What made you?
Because I felt like, so it was, okay, my birthday is December 6th. On December 8th was a Friday.
Okay.
And I remember that I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I had made it. I had the office with the door, with the view, like the windows around. I had the salary. I had my 401k. I had all the things. And
so
I
you
still
were full
felt
and empty.
Empty inside.
You were
completely
full and empty.
And it scared me.
Wow.
Because I had worked so hard to get to this that I thought once I get to this, I'm going to be so happy. And then I get to there and I'm not so happy.
Yeah.
I'm more sad than anything else because this does not feel like what I thought it was going to feel like, you know? And so I was already working for myself part-time during that time for 2 years. And then I remember thinking, I just need to take the plunge and do it full-time.
Okay.
I remember thinking, this sounds crazy. I work with seniors a lot. I work in the Medicare space, right? So I remember thinking, I don't want to be 65 questioning myself. What if I would have really tried this for myself? What if it really works? You know? And so literally, I remember December 8th, I was with my boss all day because at the time, this is after COVID. And I was working, when COVID happened, we had a downsize, right? And so 60% of the workforce stayed, but that 60% that stayed, we had to double up, triple up our jobs so that we could pick up the slack, right? And so now this 2021, it was the end of 2021, we're trying to get back into Page. So she's like, I need you to write everything that you're doing because we're going to divide the work. You know, we're going to put you in a different position and we want to hire other people to do the job that you're doing. So when I give her everything, she's like, that's a lot for one person. We need to break that down at least for 3. And I was like, okay, you think that's a lot for one person?
Right.
Okay. Right. So then I was like, okay, so I broke it down for 3, what can work with what. I structured the job descriptions and then I sent it back to her. And then but then when I sent it back to her, I also sent her my 2 weeks notice. And she's like, we just worked together all day. She comes in my room, comes in the office, closed the door. And she's like, are you playing with me? We were together all day. What's this email about? And I'm like, no, I'm not playing. For real, I need to leave. And she's like, let's just wait until after the holidays. And then in January, if you really feel like this, then we'll talk about it.
Right.
I was like, okay. January came. I sent her another 2 weeks notice. Wow. And she's like, she just couldn't believe it. I mean, and honestly, I just did what I felt I had to do. You know what I mean? And so I waited 3 months actually because I had to train the people. So I ended up leaving in March.
Okay.
And in that first year for me, was very difficult because I went from making a steady income of this amount and having benefits and having everything to then my husband being the only one having a steady income and having to like more rely on his income. Listen, I wasn't crazy. I did have a good amount of money saved.
Right.
But that first year, when you're used to making a certain amount of money, it's hard.
It's hard
when the money's trickling in and your savings is depleting, you know? So you're like, what did I make the right choice? And I'll say this, my journey in entrepreneurship has brought me so much closer to God. It really has. I mean, I tell you, Aaron, God is my business partner.
Yes, I love that.
He really is.
Yeah.
Before I even came here today, I prayed. I'm like, God, whatever I say, let it flow. Let it come out of you.
Yeah.
Let me speak life into whoever hears this. And I want to represent God well in all the things that I do, you know, which is why I carry myself a certain way. But I'll say that first year, it was hard. And so it made me depend on God so much more.
Yeah.
Like, I remember coming home sometimes after being defeated all day. No's. Get out of my property. No soliciting. Get off here. This and that. And I'm like, what did I sign myself up for? I did not think it was going to be this hard. I would get home. I would say hi to my kids, my husband. But my husband already, you know, he knows me.
Right.
So he would be like, I'm going to go straight to the shower. He's like, okay, I'll bring you some tea. He would already know, you know, so I'll be crying in the shower with the water. Yeah. Let the water take the tears. Right.
Yeah.
But it was hard, man. It was so hard. But what I kept doing was kept showing up.
Yeah.
Every day I would come home and
back to the projects. What's the name of the projects?
Chad Brown Projects.
Chad Brown Projects.
Yes.
Yeah. Just keep showing. Yeah.
Every day.
Wow.
And so every day I would, I already had mentally prepared myself. Like at some point I was like, all right, this is hard, but I'm strong. I'm a warrior mentally. I'm little, but I'm very strong mentally.
Right.
Like, yeah, you could probably knock me down physically,
right?
But mentally it's going to take a lot more because I'm very strong mentally. And so I'm like, I started just, so today I'm going to get 20 people to talk to me, regardless if they say yes or no. We're going to talk to 20 people. And I would not stop until I spoke to 20 people about whatever. And that's how I started getting my partnerships. That's how I started getting like into the rooms, you know, and networking events. I would show up. It didn't matter how I felt about the room that I was showing up into. I would show up looking nice with my cards and ready to take cards. And then I followed up and I played the game. I figured it out quickly on what I was going to do. And I just did it. But was it easy?
No.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I am not. And even now, you know, we do a lot of startups. That's part of what I do. And I tell people, hey, listen, your first year is going to be hard, but I promise you, if you're consistent, if you keep going, you will make it. You just got to get out the first year. Right. That first year is going to teach you essential things that you need to learn in this journey, you know? But yeah, that's pretty much.
Wow. And so do you ever want to or feel like you want the safety net again of a W-2? You like with your,
I already got the safety net. I created it for myself.
Good.
So like, I'm already 6 years in the game, you know, like I'm 4 years full time.
Yeah.
And so by my second year, Aaron, I made my first 100K.
Yeah.
I was able to secure myself. Yeah. And so I work in insurance. So my renewals come in every beginning of the year.
Right.
And so like.
So you have that regardless.
I have
everything
that
else is gravy.
That part.
Yeah.
So, and I always understood that. I was like, if I could just get to year 2.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be all right because I was pushing, I was hustling, I was doing the work, you know? And so I'm like, if I could just get to year 2, I know I'll be okay. But I've already secured myself that I don't have to worry about working for somebody else.
Good.
I've secured myself. Now, if Medicare changes right now, there's a lot of things happening in the Medicare space. And there's a lot of changes happening with Social Security. I don't know what that's going to look like, which is why we went ahead and created another company. Because it's like, if this is not going to work, we got to start figuring out, because I don't want to get a W-2 ever again in my life. Okay. If I have to get a 1099, then we
that's
can
a little different. We can make that work. Yeah.
But a W-2, no. Mentally, I don't think I could ever do it again.
Yeah.
If I have to, I will.
Right.
Because I am a survivor. I will never let my family starve. Like, we're going to figure it out.
Right.
but
It's not your
willingly,
desire.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not my desire.
Yeah.
I would prefer to come in as a contractor, 1099, and let
Mhm.
me do consulting, let me do something.
Right.
My background is in HR, so I kind of tend to, I will always love that. That's HR. I do have a love for it. And I feel like in many ways, I still kind of do it now.
That's what I was about to say. It aligns very much with the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Even, you helped us with our 501c3.
Yes.
Shout out to you.
Hey,
we got a letter.
That was a journey.
Yeah.
But we did it.
And you got us over the hump. I mean, you were very responsive, and like it was a pleasure working with you on that. I've seen a lot of people make big promises and give little delivery, and you were exactly the opposite. And so, thank you so much
thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, for sure. So I got 2 questions left, and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
I want you, if you can tell me about a time in your life where you had to hold on to hope. Okay. When was a time in your life that you had to hold on to hope? What was kind of going on, and what was the outcome?
I'll be honest with you. I think I hold on to hope every day.
Okay.
It's kind of like my lifestyle, because I talk to God all the time, like I said. But if there's a specific moment, I'll say my son had an accident in 2024, and he had a brain skull injury.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was like a hairline fracture, in his skull, and he didn't say anything to us at first, of the accident. And then when he did tell us, it was because he said that he had a migraine. So I'm like, take him to the hospital. Let's see like what's good. Because Xavier is not somebody that complains about much, So I'm like, just take him to the hospital. So my husband took him to St. John's, and they transferred him to the downtown hospital. But I remember my husband's like, hey, they just took him, and my son at the time was 18. My husband couldn't go with him, and still he's our baby. Right? This is our baby.
Right.
And so I go to where my husband is. I find him, and my husband's kind of like in a zombie
trance.
stance. And he's like walking like in circles in the garage, in the parking area. I was like, hey. And then so I'm like, where's your car? He's like, I don't even. So we find his car, and I'm like, calm down. If you want, like, let's come with my car. He's like, no, I'll go in my car, because then I'll go to Ari. So, okay. So we get to the hospital, and they're doing all these things to my son, and they don't want to talk to us about anything because he's 18.
He's adult. Yeah.
And I got mad. And my husband's like, babe, you need to calm down, because they're going to kick us out the hospital. I was like, why don't they talk to us? They have to tell us. And my husband's like, babe, you need to calm down, because if not, they're going to kick us out of here, and then we can't even help our son.
You won't know anything.
Yeah. So I tried to calm down the best that I could. But there was at one point they were like, oh, we're going to take him upstairs to ICU. And I grabbed my son's bed. I said, nobody is taking him nowhere until somebody tells us what's going on, And then they look at my son, and they ask my son, can we talk to her?
Why won't they just,
And then my son's like, yeah, she's been asking, like, just talk to her. It's fine, So then that's what they tell us, like all this stuff, that my son, they found blood, like in his skull. So it was the hardest time of my life, because this is my baby. Like, listen, life has lifed me all my life.
Right.
But when it comes to your kids, that's a whole
It's a whole nother ballgame.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I remember I stayed with him in intensive care unit that first night. My poor baby, he was like throwing up like The Exorcist, like just puddles of throw up everywhere. I had to like jump over the puddles to get the nurses to help clean, and it was crazy. It literally was such a traumatic experience. Like for a while, I wouldn't even talk about it because it was just too hard, But I literally told God, like, God, please, like, because one of the nurses comes in, and they're like, well, right now everything's looking fine, but the things with brain injuries is that sometimes it takes 6 months for it to really have an effect.
Right.
So he could just stop walking in 6 months, or he could, and I'm like, what? Like, don't say that in front of my son. I don't want him to hear that stuff, And so when they left, I was like, X, that is a lie. Don't listen to
You listen to me, not
don't listen to them. They're lying. You're gonna be fine. And he's perfect. He's perfect. Thank God. He's good, But that was like a really hard time for me. And through that process, like I just trusted God so much for my son's life. So I feel like that was probably the most because I feel like, listen, for me personally, this is just stuff.
Right.
right?
Right.
I value money for the sense that it provides comfort, it gives you freedom.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
Yes.
But money is not my everything.
No.
You know what I mean? I love people and I love my family.
Yeah.
My family and my community, that is literally what fulfills me. Having a certain number in my bank account gives me peace of mind because if something was to happen, I know that I can take care of it, right? But it's not like every day I'm checking no. I'm checking every day on my community. I'm checking every day on my kids, on my family, on the people that I love. That's my core. That's what my life is, you know? So everything else kind of follows. But I feel like somebody like me personally, and I feel most people are like this. I'm honestly, we care about our loved ones and we hustle, we go hard and whatever, because we want to provide a better life for our loved ones. You know, it's not even so much of like fancy cars and big houses. Yes, social media will make you feel like that's success.
Right.
But for me, success and where I find the most hope is in my family.
Right.
Me being married for 22 years, that's success for me.
Right.
You know, me having my kids at home, my son being 20, my daughter being 16, and they still love me and they want to be around me and they think I'm cool.
Right.
That's success. You know,
Yeah.
having my cousin, other people in my life that love me, you know, you, Aaron,
Right.
you know, having connections.
Yeah.
That to me is success because I put value on people. I don't, money is important, but that's not what I put my value on.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, what's a call to action for our listeners? This has been so fruitful to hear the different lenses that you see the world through, you know, as young Abi to mom Abi to entrepreneur Abi to, you know. And so what's a call to action that
failure is really more of a mental thing than a real life thing. If you take failure as a lesson, you never fail at anything in life.
Right.
Okay. There's this book called Failing Forward. When I created my first company, which was a commercial cleaning company, it didn't do so great. And I got a little depressed. And I didn't even realize I was depressed until I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends. And she's like, Abi, you just sound depressed. You don't sound like your bubbly self. And I was like, maybe I am. You know, that was the first time that somebody had said that. So I started looking into it and then I was like, oh, I don't want to be depressed. I got to get myself out of this.
Right, yeah.
You know, so then I love to read. And so I started looking up books about failing and how you can change that. And I came across the book of Failing Forward and it literally changed my perspective. So if you truly learn from every failure, you never fail.
Right.
It's lessons. Right. And you're getting basically what people pay that hundreds of thousands of dollars when they go to university. You know, you're getting it in real life.
Right.
You know, so failure is part of the journey. It's part of success. I feel like you will never get to success if you don't have some type of failure in it. But if you learn from it, then you don't really fail. You just, it's just lessons. Yeah. Like there was the saying back in the day that it's like the elves could either be losses or lessons.
Yes.
So you get to choose for yourself how you want to view it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So go out and get the book, Failing Forward. Failing Forward. You know the author? Don't worry about it.
Robert?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's not Robert. John Maxwell, I think it is.
John Maxwell?
I think it is.
Okay.
I'm almost positive.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Abi, I want to thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely wonderful. And thank you all for tuning in and for listening. Hopefully you get something that you needed from today's discussion. I want you to take some time and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And we look forward to seeing you in our very next episode of New Voices. Thanks so much for listening. God bless.
Thank you for listening to this episode of New Voices. Visit our website at www.newuunlimited.com. That is NEWU Unlimited.com. Follow us on social media at New You Unlimited on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And a special thank you to our producer, Jesse Ulrich. If you're looking for self-improvement, join our programs for personal and professional development. New You is a way for diverse talent to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. Bring your future into focus.